mothers is not mothering and is in this instead devaluating what mothership is. This seems like a very interesting video because I've been seeing a lot of videos about moms making the weirdest kind of meals and a lot of weird kind of things going on TikTok. So I want to take a little quick peek at this.
She is mother. Mother is mothering. Ladies and femmes, that is the new compliment you want to hear. Long gone are the days when mother is a term reserved for soft women with a homely charm. Today, mother is sexy, fierce, cunty. If we put our—
That is the weirdest thing to say, that a mom is cunty. Isn't it? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like that's not the description a mommy, like a mother should have, right?
Cultural critic hat on for a second. This shift in language falls in line with making every part of our lives appealing, marketable, including parenting, which was once a private matter.
Spend the day with us.
Yay, yay, yay! You can walk.
Aww.
First day postpartum.
I think it also has to do with that people love to document everything that goes on now in their life. Like, they want to make it so special that they have a kid. Because that's what I feel like. I'm gonna get more onto it later on what I think, but yeah. A lot more cameras, yeah.
Consequently, this has led to an increased surveillance of mothers. Now, don't get it twisted. Throughout history, mothers have already long been subject to scrutiny. The patriarchal myth that those assigned female at birth are naturally nurturing and caring has set such a high standard for mothers that they are constantly criticized for not mothering 24/7. Then, as pregnancy, birth, and child rearing became institutionalized, decisions around how to conceive, deliver, and raise one's children fell out of the hands of mothers and largely into the hands of corporations, media, and the general public. A parent who is maintaining life that is entirely dependent on her, who should have society's greatest support and empathy, are instead subject to intense scrutiny. I should note here that I'm not referring to mothers who exploit their children for content. One well-known mommy influencer that I also dislike is Ren and Jacqueline, who films her daughter in suggestive poses and refuses to acknowledge how this puts her child at risk of creeps. I'm talking about mothers who are just sharing what their everyday responsibilities consist of.
I think there's an issue of people always constantly trying to consume, like, I mean, there's always been an issue with Hollywood with this kind of part where people are trying to send their kids to do movie scenes and a lot of other things where it's been turning into child labor. But like, there's a lot of people nowadays that are trying to monetize their kids. They're monetizing their entire life, and then for a kid it must be very, I don't know, like, I'd feel very uncomfortable being a kid like that, like thinking that people have been looking at me from all the ages, from everywhere. Like, I feel like it's an embarrassing topic to talk about, right? Have you ever had like a picture of yourself as a kid or a baby, and you don't want your friends to see that because it's kind of like an embarrassing thing? Yeah, everybody's been a kid some time, but like, how does that kid grow up with that kind of outcome? And also, just generally, most people that consume this content are not normal in the head. Like, there's probably quite a few people out there that are just looking at this, oh, it's so cute, it's adorable. But there's a lot of creeps out there and weirdos that are going to consuming it and fixate on it, which is really weird.
Such as cooking for her kids, doing their baby's hair, swaddling tips, etc. One of these mothers is Alexandra Sabel on TikTok, who shares meals she cooks for her children.
This one is the word. Oh my God.
She makes things like mac and cheese, pork chops, broccoli and sweet potato, chicken Alfredo, meatloaf. Sounds delish. But the most popular videos of hers are always the ones where she's giving her children something unhealthy.
Yeah, that's probably the ones that I've seen in my algorithm. I guess it's because it works.
Like McDonald's, fries, or Hamburger Helper. It's almost as if social media algorithms purposely push one-sided images of people to get more clicks and comments. Wouldn't that be crazy? It is appalling to me to open the comments on her TikToks and find that people have nicknamed her Donut Mom. As if moms aren't allowed to treat their children to unhealthy food, or take breaks from cooking, or as if it's cheap to even cook at all in this economy. There are literally people online who mock her under this insulting name. People even nitpick over the tiniest things, like her glasses being crooked, or her shirt being a bit frumpy, or her air fryer being not cleaned. Like, girl, if this bothers you, please don't step into the kitchen of an average college boy, or please don't ask a graduate student what their diet consists of. I wish 90% of students had meals remotely close to what this mother makes.
I'm gonna be real with you. I bet that like 80% of the people commenting like that are not eating normally at all. I bet all of them eat outside and do takeout, or if they make something at home, it's like processed food. Like, this is just a typical internet scenario where everybody's shitting on each other, and it's unfortunate and annoying.
On the one hand, it amazes me how people consume
homemade food is healthier than people think. Processed food is way more unhealthy for you than people assume. They look at the ingredients, they don't think about it properly.
On their screen as pure products.
It's content creation expectations. Yes, it is. As a CC, you will always have people being weird for some other reason. You just gotta brush it out. It's just how people are. Like, people, this it's anonymous. People can say whatever they want. They're gonna say some fucked up stuff. You know what you can do instead? Note down the most fucked up things so you can laugh with it with your friends later, or on your content creation journey later on.
And when we live in this visual age of spectacle, it's unsurprising that people expect even a working mother of 3 children to be
in full fucking glam at 8 a.m. on a Thursday morning.
Perhaps the most worrying comments I see are the ones that say certain people don't deserve to be mothers.
That's wild.
Let's situate this within the West's horrifying history of eugenics that led to sterilizations being performed on racialized and indigenous women, of social services that took children away from single mothers because they weren't fit to have children. And it's apparent that people today unfortunately still carry the same sentiment, that motherhood is a special club only some people should be allowed into. The thought seems to be, if I can watch mothers like All Things Victoria and Nara Smith be completely dressed up with perfect hair and makeup, need bread from scratch, why can't all mothers be that way? In this online world, each mother's individual details are erased. She becomes, instead, an instantiation of the abstract mother. Part 1. The devaluation of motherhood. Creating life and then ensuring that this vulnerable ball of life survives past the age of 5 is an extremely difficult job, but this job is so often undervalued or even made invisible. People always ask me for book recommendations, so you're gonna get one in this video. Can you throw this book to me? We're talking about Night Bitch by Rachel Yoder, which recently got released as a film as well, though I haven't seen that. I think that's good. In the book, we get a detailed look into the life of a stay-at-home mom raising a toddler. I won't give any spoilers to the actual plot, but what I really appreciated about this book was its drawing attention to how hard motherhood is.
It is.
It whisks away the patriarchal veil that claims—
Man, I look at my— dude, I don't know. Like, I don't— look at a kid. Did I look at my sibling, like my sister, and like raising a baby, bro, that seems like a nightmare. Jesus Christ, how much attention that needs and how annoying it can get. And I get it. You're deluded by just general thought that it's your child and stuff, and you'll go through it. And obviously you have to go through it because it's a baby. It's a human being. It's a living thing. You got to work for it. But man, does that thing never let you sleep? Does that thing always have something going on? It's so exhausting. So moms gotta, like parents just generally have to be really strong to even take care of anything.
That women are just naturally suited for motherhood and will naturally know how to do it. In order to justify a gender division of labor, the culture must sell motherhood as a natural, essential, and desirable goal of womanhood.
And I think that, I don't want to say this is pretty early on, but I think media nowadays have actually made it seem like that being a parent is gonna take away your life, and it's not a good thing. How often do you hear people say like, I don't want kids, kid seems annoying, I hate kids, blah blah blah? Like, I don't think people like, I'm even on the scope, I need a longer I gotta hit like 30 something to be able to want a kid, because I feel like you look at it and it seems like your life is going away.
Educational films like this one reflect society's belief that women could find fulfillment only as housewives and mothers.
Now I let it come to a full rolling boil again.
Because there's nothing better than cleaning up your child's puke and having to hear them wail for 2 hours while you try to put them to bed, knowing you're probably only gonna get 4 hours of sleep. Night Bitch walks the reader through all the work, both physical and mental, that go into being a mother. One of the scenes that has really stuck with me is when she tries to breastfeed while also working a job and loses one of the suction-y cups in her breast pump. Always in a hurry. Hurry, breasts. Hurry up and relax. Then let the milk come. It's her fault if the milk doesn't come. Too much coffee. Not enough food. You need to figure out a way to minimize stress. Eat an energy bar. Eat these nuts. Take these special herbal pills. Eat lots of oatmeal. Figure out how to balance it all. Drink an entire liter of water in hopes of letdown. Meditate. Breathe deeply. You have 8 more meetings today. there was never enough milk for the baby. He was getting so big. All he wanted was milk, and there was not enough time or milk or hands. The daycare closed at 6, so no late meetings, must account for traffic, the walk to the parking garage, weather. Do not forget the milk. Do not forget the milk. She forgot the milk. I think working mother is perhaps the most nonsensical concept ever concocted. I mean, who isn't a working mother? And then you add a paid job to it, so what are you then? A working mother? Imagine saying working father. Eventually, the mother cannot handle a job and raising an infant, so she quits her job while her husband works instead. But now she faces an existential crisis. Because she's confined to the home, she has no passions, no goals, no energy left to be interested in anything else. Her only identity is being a mother. But does the mother at least get recognition for all the labor she puts into being a mother?
No. No, they don't. Like, no. Like, I mean, some give it, but like, I feel like in the outer world, like, people just look at it as a normal task in itself. And it is like a second job, like taking care of a baby that is always needing and knowing, and it doesn't even understand the world. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and it is very exhausting, both mentally and physically. And you barely sleep. So like the moms that are working and taking care of a baby, they're warriors.
No, because mother is seen as intrinsic to her identity.
Yeah.
It's taken for granted.
It is.
There are some identities like being a swimmer or being an engineer where you have to put in constant work to maintain that identity. If you stopped swimming for 5 years, it would be strange to still call yourself a swimmer.
You're an artist, right?
Well, I used to be.
Wow! But that feels like a lifetime ago. So
Yeah,
totally.
definitely. We get it.
Similarly, while identifying as a mother requires a complex set of activities, mother is treated as a static essential identity. As a result, in Night Bitch, the mother's domestic labor is invisible to her husband.
For what it's worth, I would kill to stay home with him every day.
When he returns from work on the weekends, he critiques her for not taking the laundry out on time or not feeding the child properly, and tells her, "Oh God, you're so lucky to just stay at home every day. You're practically on vacation 24/7.
Housewives, do you think they lead an exciting...
I think that is where there's like a mutual non-understanding, because I feel like in a moment like that, as a couple like that raising a child, I think you gotta, like, generally even without a child, you gotta help each other out where it's needed. And you see there's a lack of something, you gotta assist with it where you can. You can't, if you can open your mouth about complain about something, you can instead take your ass up and do it.
Exciting existence or a dull one?
Well, 50-50, I think. It depends on their makeup, don't you think? Well, you know, some of them seem to be out enjoying themselves all day. Others, well, they're just stuck in the old home, but it's their fault.
The husband, having never had to do any of the house chores, is alienated from the means of domestic production. Like, you know when you move out for the first time and you only begin to realize all of the work that goes into maintaining a livable home? How you actually have to buy toilet paper and it doesn't just magically refill itself? How fast laundry detergent runs out? How long it takes to vacuum a whole floor? These labor processes used to be invisible and taken for granted when you lived at home because they were often handled by mothers.
I can assure you my wife doesn't find life monotonous in the least nowadays. Once upon a time perhaps, but now there's always something to do. We have very many common interests, music, books, and other things. Monotony, no.
The amount of cognitive load mothers have to deal with can be incredible. And I'm talking about mothers without nannies, without maids, without any assistants. Mothers who single-handedly remember their entire family's doctor and dentist appointments, remembering the groceries they have in their fridge at any given moment, and planning meals so that no grocery goes to waste, remembering the names and faces of all their children's friends and teachers. The mental fortitude mothers have, like, damn, I always be forgetting something the moment I leave the house. In Night Bitch, motherhood sounds awful, or at least unfulfilling, and it is for a lot of people. More moms on TikTok have been sharing the not-so-glamorous aspects of motherhood.
I was basically like sold the lie that if you just work hard enough, you can get your pre-baby body back. That doesn't exist. That body's never coming back.
It does.
It's okay.
You can get it. You can obviously get it back. You just have to work for it, but it just takes time. Like anything, you can. Like, I don't know, like, I look at, like, I'm talking about not the person, like, I'm not a mom, but I'm talking about people in my life that I've become mom. They work out and they got back to the shape they were. They're completely fine.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm right here.
It's called exercise. It is called exercise and consumption. It's about taking care of yourself. You can get back to it. But again, like, this is the thing. Okay, so there's a difference between people, and I'm not going to undermine anyone, okay? Like, you do you, because sometimes everyone is different. Everybody everybody has different energy level and goals. But like, there are moms out there that will work out the week before even labor and go back to the gym after. And there are moms that will completely give up and not do anything because they're so exhausted by the baby, and they will not work out probably for the first year. And that's the difference. Like, my sister was on the 1 week before labor, she was at the gym. She was working out. Like 2 weeks after, she was back at the gym, and she's going all the time while with her, like, even now to this day, always squeezing in time. And it's about your priorities, what you feel like yourself. It's completely up to you. But again, I'm not gonna go say anything bad if you can't do it, because it's a whole exhausting process where you are using your every muscle in your body to maintain this baby. And when it goes out, you are exhausted and you're recovering. I completely get it. And also, maintaining a baby is very exhausting.
Ballerina
look at that. That thing is gonna scream like that every day, all the time.
Broke the internet's heart. A woman, once an amazing ballerina at Juilliard, gave up her dreams to be a mother. Sorry.
Girl, they're offering free gelato to the first 50 people who show up. What?
I've been trying to tell you all, motherhood is dog shit. Oh,
nice.
Hi. I'm a radical libertarian feminist.
What the fuck?
Now, the way I see
don't even understand what that means.
Motherhood drains women both physically and psychologically. So mothers should be allowed to use whatever technology they want to prevent, terminate, or have pregnancies to reduce the negative effects of motherhood. Some of my radical libertarian feminist friends even claim that in an ideal world, there would be no natural pregnancies. Instead, fetuses grow outside of the human body so that people get to experience raising a child without suffering the pains of pregnancy, giving birth, and taking months or years to recover from all that. Shula Myth Firestone said that the joy of giving birth was a patriarchal myth that hindered the progress of gender equality, and that it was actually like shitting pumpkins. Women of Reddit, what is a lie about your body?
Wait, but stuff like stretch mark and stretch the skin might not go back. Of course it will go back. It's a that's how your skin works. Like, you might have a stretch mark, but you take care of that stretch mark and it's gonna go back. But no, this is completely normal. Like, it depends on how big your belly comes out during the pregnancy, of course, but you can always take care of it and it will be looking more natural and turn back to the natural skin color. Like, this is just, this is a human evolution for ages. This is how humans are. You will get back to your natural state. Everything will get back to a natural state with time and taken care of.
Bodies that you later found wasn't true. *_Lady J of Reddit said, and I quote, "Pregnancy is disgusting. I hated it. The ugly truth is that it's awful. I was literally just waddling around with hideous indigestion, looking for the nearest toilet to make sure that my sand grain-sized bladder didn't explode, while constantly feeling nauseous and not being able to eat, but starving half to death because I couldn't stomach more than a few bites at a time, all while my most precious parasite was kicking the shit out of me and I couldn't sleep because I, for the life of me, couldn't get comfortable, and when sleep finally would come, I would literally snore myself awake. I know it's a gift and I wouldn't have changed it for the world, but I loathed being pregnant with every single fiber of my being. I just got here."
And by the way, you need to keep in mind, some people actually enjoyed being pregnant. Like, they weren't like, oh my god, this is the best thing, but they had no issue being pregnant. It really is depending on the individual. Like, everybody has their own different experiences.
Ugh. Talk about a downer. She said motherhood is draining? More like society's the one that's draining motherhood. Let me tell you why motherhood can indeed be very fulfilling. Hi, I'm a radical cultural feminist.
Bro, I don't understand these gimmick words. I've never put myself into politics enough to understand what this means.
I believe biological motherhood is the ultimate source of a woman's power. Think about it. Since the human species depends on people who can give birth, it is an extremely special power that deserves far more appreciation. People who could give birth and sustain vulnerable life used to be revered throughout history as divine beings. The fact that you could literally create life, what's more magical than that? If we give up this reproductive power, men will have even less respect for us. In fact, we are already handing part of our reproductive power to men who control reproductive technologies. Look at how male obstetricians replaced female midwives. And so now men set the rules for what pregnant persons and people giving birth should do, as if they know our body better than we do. Men used to claim that women should not be educated because women need to dedicate their energy to our ovaries and womb. And if we study, our brain will steal all our energy, our reproductive organs will die out, and eventually the entire human race is doomed. Male doctors also said lower class and racialized women who had too many children proved their lower class status because they were naturally breeding like animals. If mothers were allowed to be in tune with their own bodies and not have them villainized or subject to sexist beliefs, motherhood would be so much more enjoyable. But as it stands, pregnant people are alienated from their own bodies in the process of producing life. This bodily alienation is why motherhood sucks so bad, not because of motherhood itself. The increase of technology allows external actors to micromanage a mother's experiences and make choices for her, as if they view mothers like scientists who must create the perfect child. Why are men focusing all this technology on women's generative organs, the source of her procreative power? Why are they collecting our eggs? Why do they seek to freeze them? Why do men want to control the production of human beings? Why do they talk so often about producing perfect babies? Why are they splitting the functions of motherhood into smaller parts? Does that reduce the power of the mother and her claim to the child?
This is really weird because like everything you're telling me is like sounds like a thing a woman would want. You freeze the eggs because you are after the age of 30, there's a bigger chance to not be fertile. And most of these things, processes that are being explained here are more just like to make it easier, to make it simpler, to make the baby healthy, to keep the baby healthy. And I think that once you are becoming a mother, planning to be one, that's your biggest concern, that everything goes well, because you don't want any complication. You don't want any infection. You don't want anything bad to happen to you, because again, if something goes wrong, it can hurt you as well.
I only gave the egg. I am not the real mother. I only loaned my uterus. I am not the real mother. I only raised the child. I am not the real mother. Now, the social feminists couldn't be here today.
That would make women useless at the point that they're donating eggs. I guess that depends on how you view it, right? But like, I feel like there's something else to it. Like, I don't think like, what are we thinking about? Just reproduction? I feel like when we have this discussion, we're looking at the dystopia where women is purely existing just to produce more humans. And I don't think that's where we're going, but it sounds to me this is the this is the worry some have, and it doesn't really make sense to me, like, at all. The only benefit of, like, I'm thinking about, like, if you would have someone use someone else's egg or have the assistance of someone else carrying, is if you're not able to have any babies.
But some of them would agree with me in the positive potential of motherhood. Because social feminists see patriarchy and capitalism as intertwined, some of them see a positive potential in motherhood. A lot of mothers genuinely love their child and only hate motherhood. And why is that? In Frederick Engels' The Origin of the Family...
it's very... I don't know, like... I mean, keep in mind, whenever you're getting into this phase, your body, okay, are activating a bunch of chemical reactions that will change your whole personality, how you feel physically, and your mentality. It's a whole... There's a lot going on, so I can understand how somebody is pleased with it at all.
Private property and the state, he speculates that early societies were matriarchal, but it is capitalism that has degraded motherhood. Engels notes that during the tribal period of human history, when a man and a woman became a pairing, the man would live in the woman's house, indicating that the women held economic power. After all, women were the ones who cooked and crafted material tools that were crucial to the survival of tribes, and produced the very living members of the tribe. It's only when men began to domesticate domesticate animals and the land, that economic power shifted to passing down private property through one's family. Hence, the central site of production shifted from the home to the private property economy. Domestic work of raising
children. That theory was later discarded, by the way.
Children became undervalued. Children and women became property to possess rather than full-fledged human beings.
So this is not lies.
Can I please have my channel back? I want to finish my video. Can you please bring me back gelato? The answer is no.
I think technology have allowed us freedom to be able to look into these possibilities, but people will bring ethical concerns into it because of regarding personal matter around childbirth. I think it's important to always have it, like, look at every viewpoint of how things can end up with. I think it's important to even just so you know what can this, like, where can this lead. But like, in the end of the day, most of the science behind that has been put into childbirth, it's not because of completely ignoring the worth, like as someone put it, of women. I mean, women can do everything. You can do anything. I think it's more about the factor that this process, there's a lot of complication that can go on, and there's a lot of limits because of human biology. That just technology has just tried to ease it and put research in to make this a simpler and better process for them, so there's no complication or anything wrong going on, and that the baby itself comes out healthy. You think using machines will make us devolve? Perhaps.
If you don't like pistachio or hazelnut,
I think there are some. I feel like. Do you know why we have, like, this is an extremely bad example, but do you know why we have wisdom tooth and why we need to pull them off? It used to be very needed whenever we had hard meat and hard object to chew. But now, as we go on with the human evolution, as we go on, we have started creating softer. We started to tenderize stuff. We're using tools to soften things up, and we use we use things to make it simpler for us to eat, and we have a better understanding how to eat. So now these teeth are becoming more agitated and it's not really that useful anymore for us. And that's why we pull them out, as they're just painful now to have. And I think that whenever we change the process of how we even are, how even childbirth is going, how even pregnancy goes on for the female body, I think it will eventually have some negative side effects that will remove the natural possibility for humans in the long run. Like, there might be something, because every time we removed a need, it has completely gone out of our pool of uses.
Gelato, something's wrong with you. Okay, now where were we?
Like the appendix.
Well,
yeah.
She just finished talking about socialist feminism, so I'm going to assume talking about capitalism is a safe bet. Part 2. I know better than you. Western liberalism and capitalism are kinda like this right now. They only see paid labor as real labor. As a result, liberalism has worked pretty hard to alleviate gender inequality in the economic sphere by fighting for women's rights to do the same jobs as men and to earn the same wages as men. But until more recently, the liberal tradition has really neglected gender inequality in the private sphere. Take, for example, John Rawls, who was a huge influence on modern liberalism. He wrote in his seminal book, Theory of Justice, that it is theoretically possible to be sexist or racist in private, but still treat everyone equally in politics. So you can order your family in a traditional gendered hierarchy and make women do all the domestic labor, but in public still view women as equal citizens.
That sounds like the most basic thing. Am I the only one that treats my family and friends differently? Close friends and family differently, and even public view? Like, I'm behaving differently in every way. That's just called Europe? Yeah, it is called Europe. I guess it is. I don't know. Like, that's completely normal. I don't talk to y'all like I talk to my family, and I don't talk to y'all like I talk to my close friends. Now, am I saying something crazy? No, not really. But it's about behavior. It's about like the just generally the environment you're in. It's completely normal.
With the same voting rights. Proposing such a clean distinction between private and public life has often led liberal feminism to be blind to how private and public life are intertwined.
I think this, as you know, what's funny, like this is completely out of the scope, but I think people are moved away from this ideology as well. Like people mix them both together, and people are being crucified for their behavior depending on where they are. Like it's all the same. It's all the same, which doesn't make sense to me. And I've noticed that like there's more social issues around this that we are losing. Like this is completely unrelated, but like I feel like, for example, empathy is a thing, a mutual understanding that people could have of situations, but it's completely lost. People are completely lost the understanding of the room, like the environment they're in, how to read the environment they're in. It's completely gone. Like they don't get it anymore. People have a horrible social understanding nowadays. Now I'm not sure what is going on. Is it the internet? Are people becoming dumber? Like what is happening?
As early as the 1850s, feminists like Harriet Taylor, who was married to the famous utilitarian John Stuart Mill, declared that all women should work. Progressive, right? Since women were barred from basically every form of employment. In one sense, yes, but a comment like this also revealed Taylor's class blindness. She said that working women with children would need a panoply of domestic servants to help take care of domestic work, but never thought about the many women who could not afford to hire servants, or who the servants would be, which often were working class racialized women. Quote, Taylor, a product of class privilege, offered rich women a way to have it all without offering poor women the same. If we jump 100 years forward to the 1960s, a similar message still rang true. In Betty Friedan's popular book, The Feminine Mystique, she writes about how women must work to find meaning in their lives because motherhood was just a role that women uncritically played. If we realized how motherhood included meaningless tasks like cleaning the house and spoiling our children, we would let it go. But like Taylor, Friedan reveals her class and race bias. Upper-class educated white women may have felt this way, but many women did not. Quote, just because college-educated homemakers in suburbia may seek release from their domestic duties so they can get jobs in corporate America does not mean that female assembly line workers do not yearn to be stay-at-home wives and mothers. Even if every woman did find meaning in paid labor, many could not. Unless feminists also called upon men to pick up the slack around the house, very few women would be privileged enough to work a full-time job and raise children at the same time. This also led conservative feminists to critique liberal feminists for being out of touch with a lot of women who enjoyed motherhood and family life. After seeing women become exhausted and unhappy with trying to be a successful career woman and also a good mother, Friedan revised her opinion in a later book. 1980s superwomen were no less oppressed, albeit for different reasons, than their 1960s stay-at-home mothers had been. But the damage of liberal feminism on motherhood has been done, and its effects still linger today. Jean Bethke Ilshatan claims that liberal feminism has reduced motherhood to just another role women can fulfill or not. Quote, mothering is not a role on par with being a file clerk, a scientist, or a member of the Air Force. Mothering is a complicated, rich, ambivalent, vexing, joyous activity which is biological, natural, social, symbolic, and emotional. I'm inclined to think she's right, though to be fair, I've never been a mother, but I think a lot of people don't appreciate how uniquely special of an experience motherhood can be, and
I think people are not appreciating the experience of having a family. People are completely undermining the love and careness that goes into it and how much passion that can be put around it. Like, I think people are, I think there's a whole like subject around the whole thing.
How many complex responsibilities it involves.
Yeah.
This leads people to be overly critical of mothers, like the people I talked about in the beginning of this video. They treat mothers as if they're employees that got hired for this job called motherhood, and there's some standardized way of assessing their performance. I think this is shown in the entitlement people assume to have to a pregnant person's body, touching their stomach without consent, telling them when and how they should move even if they've never been pregnant themselves. Her body and her child are never fully hers. For a long time, men have convinced women that they are not real women unless they also become mothers, and that motherhood is their primary job.
I think it is you, the women, who have had the most diabolical lies told to you. How many of you are sitting here now, about to cross this stage, and are thinking about all the promotions and titles you are going to get in your career? Some of you may go on to lead successful careers in the world, but I would venture—
Not every mom and not every woman can be a mom, and not every man can be a dad. Not everyone can be a parent. That is 100% true. But it's very hard for people to figure out if they can be or not.
Yes, that the majority of you are most excited about your marriage and the children you will bring into this world.
Quote, good mothers are not supposed to have any personal friends or plans unrelated to those of their families. They are supposed to be on the job 24 hours a day and love every minute of it. Ironically, these unrealistic expectations are what cause many women to act out in unmotherly ways. Mothers lash out, they become bitter.
I only cook enough food for 3 people, now I'll have to cook more.
Maybe they get too invested in their children's lives because of all these demands they face.
So, you guys, what is the 411?
In response to mothers not meeting this patriarchal standard, states have justified breaking families apart.
I don't see any way it's even remotely good to undermine the performance of a mother. Like, I don't see what good this will do. Like, you think that will help them be more motivated? What the fuck? What's the point?
Children away from mothers under the guise of social welfare. And many families are still dealing with the generational repercussions of having their families broken up. In Canada, residential schools have a haunting legacy where children were taken from Indigenous families and raised properly, aka according to colonial Christian practices. In the 1927 case known as—
And nearly every single place like that, kids were abused. Unfortunately.
Buck v. Bell, the U.S. Supreme Court decided to maintain a state's right to forcibly sterilize people considered unfit to procreate.
Damn.
This led to at least 70,000 people being sterilized against their will, and they were often poor, racialized, and/or disabled. Even though this—
That's right. Before they thought poor people were like had different genes, they were different race. They viewed poor people as being like less superior than rich people in the sense of their genetics. Classic human segregation.
Is no longer legal. Forced sterilizations still take place all the time in secrecy, for instance in women's prisons.
The doctor's response when she questioned him.
I'm not going to use verbatim what he said because I don't think I can say this on TV, but he said, I'm tired of you pretty native girls, you pretty Mexican girls, and you pretty African American girls. You guys come up in here and you get all hot and bothered, then you go home and you do the wild thing, you get pregnant again. You come back to prison, your children end up out there in foster care or wherever they end up, and us taxpayers are forced to have to pay to take care of your children.
Am I saying we shouldn't have standards for mothers? Absolutely not. There are duties a mother should still try to fulfill. Loving their child, being emotionally and physically present, doing their best to provide basic necessities. But many of the barriers mothers face to being a good mother is not an individual problem. There are historical legacies we have yet to outlive and structural failings that make raising a child hard. We should be more careful about what expectations we lay upon mothers, or else we can feed into racist, classist, and ableist discourse. Also, mothers are allowed to have bad days just as any other human being is.
Real.
I know damn well many of you don't know how to cook or are a college student eating instant ramen far too often. Should we have the public nitpick you over your poor eating habits? Or should we understand that in a busy, tiring life, having something to eat is still better than not eating at all? Patriarchal capitalist norms have dictated what counts as doing a good job of motherhood. For children, a good job of motherhood entails raising children to be economically efficient for society, or that they can be competitive on the social and economic market. A child is like a product that should improve the lives of parents, and this can stop parents from seeing their children as a person. But many mothers write about how they find the most joy out of motherhood when they break those rules and are truly in tune with their child's relationship, giving them treats at the wrong times, playing unproductive activities, sleeping at
I feel like issues that some people don't realize. Being a mother, raising a child isn't one recipe fit of all. They think it's people think that it's like a checklist and it's perfect. Like every baby, every kid, every scenario is the same. No. It's so complicated, it's so exhausting, there's so much going on.
Wrong time. These end up making motherhood energizing rather than draining. In this
The best way to think is that not to care what people think about you, but the problem is that human, you can say that, but like I can think to myself, like I don't give a fuck what some people say. But unfortunately it's only human for us to worry about class. This has been a problem. This is class. And set in a specific class has been a thing in human history for so long that it's ingrained in our brain. And unfortunately, being viewed as lower class is daunting. and they don't like it. And even if you don't give a fuck, it's not majority of the people do. The majority of people do care. Like, we're not built to get hate all the time and constantly picked on and constantly told we're wrong or doing things wrong. It's just not how we are, regardless of who you are. I might be more strong on some things, but like I bet that even I have my weak points. Everybody has their weak points, and definitely a mother that has a bunch of chemical reactions going up in their brain will definitely make them more vulnerable after pregnancy and during pregnancy.
Article by a sociologist and a mother, she explains how she stopped raising her child in line with parenting norms that emphasize control, authority, and discipline. Instead, she focuses on encouraging her child's autonomy and listening to their opinions.
Yes.
I conveniently found this article
That's how my mother raised me, and I'm happy. So I'm probably going to do the same way.
Through Ground News, the sponsor of today's video. Ground News is an app and website.
This is pretty late in a sponsor. This channel.
That
what the
gathers
fuck?
related articles from more than 50,000 sources across the world and political spectrum in one place, so you can compare how different outlets cover the same story. Look, the article I just mentioned was originally in German, but the app automatically translated it for me. I just appreciate how any information you'd want about an article is accessible within the Ground News app or website. You want to compare how different news articles with different political affiliations approach the same story? Ground News gives you that comparison. You want to know which news stories are being underreported on by the left or right? Ground News has a blind spot feed for that exact purpose.
Interesting.
You want to tailor your news feed to have more specific topics than just economy or sports? Well, in Ground News, you can follow topics like Halloween, taxis, Swiss National Bank, and then get even more specific recommendations like Tesla Cybertruck. You can also follow specific individuals. So visit ground.news/oliSUNvia or scan my QR code to subscribe today. You can sign up to get 40% off the same Vantage plan I use. That's ground.news/oliSUNvia or scan the QR code here. So, patriarchal capitalist norms dictating what counts as a good job of motherhood. For mothers, doing a good job of motherhood requires losing herself in her children. She must give up her personal dreams and desires for her child. She must also mimic the pure innocence of her child, but this relegates her to a contradictory existence. She has to embody a pure virginal innocence, a nurturing, homely woman, but at the same time, the reproduction of life necessarily involves nakedness, sensuality, and erotic contact. Mothers get criticized all the time for being sexy, as if they didn't literally have sex to birth a child. Moreover, because liberal feminism has viewed motherhood as just another role or job, there's a tendency to view mothers as having chosen the wrong role in life because it's unpaid labor, and now they're economically reliant on a partner. This contributes to the idea that stay-at-home mothers are not as intelligent as childless, liberated women. Therefore, I must tell this mom online, who I have zero connection to, that doesn't she know sugar and oil is bad for her kids? Well, let me just say, thank God my mom did not post videos of how she raised me, cause while she did make me eat pretty healthy, she also did treat me to pancakes, ice cream, fried food, cake, and I'm not sure the internet could have handled all that.
My mom... Okay, I'm gonna just say it right now. My mom it's not like she's a health freak, but she naturally eats only healthy. She barely wants to eat meat, and she never want to eat any fried or like junk food. I barely ever seen her eat junk food like in my life. I swear to God. But that stopped her from taking me to McDonald's because I wanted to go to McDonald's as a kid. That stopped her from giving me money to go and buy something something good. No, it didn't. Like, in the end of the day, you're a mother. You got a kid that's excited and happy about those small moments. You got to treat them well. You got to mix it up. You definitely got to give them sometimes good food and nice food and a good diet. Like, definitely for sure. But you also got to let your kid live. It's like they got to be happy, right?
Let's use our imagination for a second. Picture going up to someone who has invested
even at breakfast. Yes, I'm my mom.
Years of physical and emotional energy into being a mother, and you tell them, don't you know that being just a mother is not contributing to women's liberation? You know you could have done something like significant with your life, right? I doubt that mother is going to be like, oh my god, thank you, you are so right, I'm going to re-enroll in university now and work for Google. No, instead she's probably going to have an existential crisis and feel deeply ashamed about a lifestyle that she's now too invested in to leave. Quote, "It is one thing to tell a person he or she should try a new hairstyle. It is quite another to advise a person to get a more meaningful destiny."
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important message. We require your answers to a short quiz. Do you know how much it costs to raise a child in their first year? Let's test your knowledge on Guess That Cost! First up, we have diapers. Can you guess how much diapers cost in the first year of raising a child? The answer is...
I bet that diapers, so what do you buy? Like a pack of diaper, how much does that cost in the US? I don't know, let's say it costs $10 each pack of diaper. You're probably gonna need one of these, like... Do you think 10,000? 400? In a year, how much do you think, how much will you buy diapers? I think it will be close around like between $1,000 to $2,000 a year.
Is $500 to $1,000.
I was close. Okay, so it's 500, 1,000. Okay.
$1,000.
I was thinking maybe I overshot it. Yeah, I was thinking 1,000. I thought maybe it could be even more. It depends on how much it costs. But yeah, UK is more expensive. Depends where you are. And I'm thinking, yeah.
Infant uses about 8 to 12 diapers per day. That's
damn
a lot of poop. Experts say you should expect to change between 2,000 to 3,000 diapers in the first year. Alright, next up we have baby wipes. Now that you know how much those little things are pooping every day, you know baby wipes can't be cheap either.
They use baby wipes for everything, right? Everything. And baby wipes, what's that like? It's like $5. I think it costs like $200 to $400 a year, maybe.
How much do people spend on baby wipes in the first year of raising a child? If you guessed 500 to over 1,000.
Wow. No way. Wait. Okay. I know, like, it used baby wipes for everything. The face, to clean them up, everything. Oh my God.
You'd be correct. Now, parents want to bring their baby out and about, so how much is a stroller gonna cost them? There's gonna be a big range here, depending.
The thing is that people buy all, like, you have a stroll and then you sell it used. A lot of people buy used ones, but these are like they're like $500 to $1,000
on the quality and brand of the stroller.
But you can buy a used one for like maybe $300.
Can be between $250 to $3,000 to buy a stroller.
Yeah, I thought so.
Just
exactly.
Make them learn how to walk at this point. Now, if you're a single mother with a job and you can't get maternity leave, you'll need full-time childcare, which will cost how much? Place your guesses, folks. The correct answer is, on average, $10,000.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, children needs medicine as well. Like this 10,000.
Here's a chart detailing the average cost of childcare per month in each Canadian province.
Oh my God.
There's a lot more that we could test you on, but that would take ages, so I'll just leave it there for today. But in total, the first year of
use wheelbarrows in the south. Hell yeah, brother.
Raising a child in Canada averages around $25,000. And that stat is from 2018. So it's definitely even more.
It's way more now. Ooh, it's way more
expensive now. Boy, do I need a raise.
Probably around like 30,000 now, or 35,000.
Well, thank you for participating on
I'm never getting pregnant. You gotta get rich.
We will now return you to your scheduled program.
Jesus Christ.
Mothers all over the world are trying their best. And I hate that I have to clarify this, but it's the internet, so of course I don't mean all mothers. There are absolutely mothers out there who are far from doing their best, and I don't condone staying in abusive or neglectful situations. Familial relationships are also complicated. It's totally possible to both love and resent your mother. But overall, mothers deserve far more credit than they currently receive. And if we want to criticize mothers,
your mom.
Social media is not the place to do it. What you see mothers post on TikTok or Instagram are only small snippets into their much larger life. You do not actually know people you see on social media, you only know a tiny digital representation of them. In the current state of the world, is motherhood oppressive? Probably in some ways, but that doesn't make it inherently worse than other life choices a person assigned female at birth makes. You also face sexism when you're girl bossing. You get fucked by capitalism in paid labor. There are tons of women who can be financially independent, but because of sexist internalized teachings, are super emotionally dependent on a male partner. Let's just try to have a world where motherhood can be fulfilling and energizing for those who want it. If you found this video interesting, feel free to comment down below. You know, you can share your thoughts about motherhood. You can praise your own mother, who I'm sure would appreciate the gratitude.
Absolutely
and
amazing.
Shout out to my mom, who has worked so hard to raise me and my sister, and who continues to care for us. All sources are linked down below in the description box as usual. Thank you so much for watching. Let's keep talking, and I hope to hear from you soon. Bye.
True. Absolutely amazing video. I went into this video expecting it to be one video talking about talking shit about like these TikTok moms doing these weird trends. I did not expect this video to be this good and go so dialed into the topic. This was an amazing video. Absolutely insane. Go love your mom. Like I always try to do my best. Like mamas out there, they have it rough. It's not like they have it rough, but it's a hard thing to go through. So you gotta appreciate your mom. Like I look back and I think about those silly moments when I was angry at my mom as a kid and a teenager, and I regret it. So I try to make the best of it now that I'm more understanding. But yeah, moms out there, they don't have it easy. And definitely, I do definitely think that men have it way easier when it comes to way easier when it comes to this. But that's a different discussion. W video, loved it. Make sure to go check out the channel. Like this video if you enjoy it. Sub to the channel if you want to watch more reacts. And if you want to yap with me live and join me live, come by my Twitch channel on twitch.tv/ali. I appreciate you all watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.